Hi everyone, Lee again here, and I want to talk about our consciousness and how sometimes this is paradoxical because sometimes we have to focus on negative things in order to realize the positive and negative in everything, so we can put ourselves in the middle state, which is a state of non-dualistic thinking, so that we can see the positive and understand how to choose the positive if we wish. Now, I had an epiphany because I was sitting having a cup of coffee and I was looking at this cup of coffee thinking, wow, this is amazing. Okay, it was lovely coffee. I was feeling the high off the caffeine. I was feeling the cup, warming my hands up in the cup, and just really enjoying this coffee, thinking of all the positives. And then I suddenly thought, well, hold on a minute. What about the negatives? Okay, now most people who go and get a coffee, they'll not be sitting thinking about the negatives of the cup of coffee, will they? Because most people are not conditioned to do that. Most people are conditioned to try and focus on the positives constantly and avoid the negatives. Really avoid the negatives. But when you really look at this holistically, you'll start to realize that everything has a positive and a negative to it, because it's all the same. Okay, it's only our consciousness itself that focuses on the positive or chooses to focus on the negative with certain things. So what I was doing, I was looking at this cup of coffee thinking, well, what are the negatives of this? Now, most people would say, well, there's no negatives to sitting enjoying a cup of coffee, is there? But I looked at the coffee cup and I was thinking, well, hold on a minute. I could tip this coffee out of this cup right now. I could smash it over somebody's head, it would knock them out, and they would get serious injuries from this coffee cup. Okay. I could smash the coffee cup on the ground. I could use the shards to cut myself in a million places and there'll be blood everywhere, and that would be considered very negative. Okay. Somebody could have been exploited into making that coffee cup and work 14 hours a day with no break and absolutely hate the life. So there's all these negative aspects of consciousness within everything, as well as positive, you see. So everything is a non-dualistic state. It's just our consciousness that chooses the positive or the negative. And now some people will say, well Lee, this is crazy what you're talking about. What if a plane goes down and kills 50 people? What's positive about that? Well, what's positive about that is that every time you go down in a plane and it lands safely, you'll be more appreciative to be alive. Okay? When you think of those 50 people who died, you'll appreciate your life more, thanking yourself or thanking the universe for not making you in that plane. You see, the reason the plane crashed will be investigated, and the plane might be adapted in a way where this will never happen again. So there's all these positive things to everything and negative things to everything. So what we need to do when we reach a certain level of awareness is realize this, look in the places where most people never look, because we're not conditioned to look at negative places, and then realize, oh, there is a positive and negative to everything. Put yourself in the middle point and choose with your consciousness to focus on whichever one you want to focus on. And believe you and me, most people would focus on the positive. Okay, because they now have the choice. But when you don't understand this, you don't have a choice. You see, you're just caught in the ups and downs of life. Okay, you're just like what is it, you're out of control. Okay, you're a boat without any sails. Society, social media, the news is telling you what's good and bad. You're very fearful because you're scared of all these bad things that might happen constantly. So you're not in control, you see, because you think there's a good and a bad and you think you've got no control over them. But in reality, the more you look at everything, the more you look holistically at everything, you see there is a good and a bad to everything. Now, I do this all the time now. When I'm out, I'll see something and I'll think, well, what's good about that and what's bad about that? And there's always both, no matter what it is, because everything's neutral in this physical reality. It's just our consciousness that's deciding what's good and bad. You see, and a lot of people are very addicted to focusing on the good. Okay, I've done this for many years. I've gone out, I've focused on the good. As soon as something I think's bad's happened, I can't handle it because I've been focusing so much on the good. This is what the New Age spiritual communities are like. You'll go into them at some point if you're on a spiritual journey. With me, it didn't last very long because I started to realise that it was all about chasing those positives and avoiding the negatives, because a lot of people who are very vulnerable go into the spiritual communities because of this, because they don't want to face negatives anymore. They've had too many negatives in their life and they just want to focus on positive, so they're getting all this positive feedback from all these so-called gurus who tell them what to do. Okay, they'll say, well, if you go and meditate for an hour, you'll start to feel happy, you'll feel all this abundance, but in reality it doesn't work, because everything has a positive and negative. It's just your consciousness focus on it. But because they still don't understand this, they're not going to be able to control it. So every time they've had a positive, sooner or later they're going to experience a negative, and they're going to go right back down again. So this goes on, guys. This is the spiritual communities fooling people. Okay, this is gurus making money off people's weaknesses. So you need to eventually you'll come out of this and you'll realize the state of non-duality, which is non-dualistic thinking. You realize there is no good or bad, because everything can be good or bad based on your decision and how you want to focus on it. See, and only then, paradoxically, by focusing on the negative and the positive, you then realize that everything's neutral and you can choose whether you want positive or negative. And the more you do this, the more you'll transcend up those levels of awareness, the more you'll realize how much control you have as a conscious being. Okay, you'll become fully sovereign. You'll become a sovereign being where you can choose to create the reality you want. But this doesn't come easy, guys. This comes very late in their spiritual development, after they've already tried to chase the positive for so long, after they've read countless books, because they're trying to fix the mental health state that they've been conditioned into of positive and negative, you see. And most people out there still on a roller coaster ride of ups and downs because they watch the news, etc. They do all these things and they're constantly trying to chase the positives. That's why when you go out you see very weak-minded people, okay, just doing silly things constantly. I don't blame them for this, okay, it's just because they don't realise yet. But one day they will realise, because all those positives they're chasing will eventually bring a negative, and they'll eventually get sick of this roller coaster, okay, just as they get sick when they go out and eat all this junk food because they're hungry and they want to feel that positive buzz of eating the junk food. Then only years down the line, because they've done that for so long, they get really unhealthy and have all these health complications, and then they're seeing the negative of that, you see, because everything has a karmic effect when you're not in control of this. So yeah, this will happen to everyone eventually, guys. Some of you guys probably already be on a non-dualistic way of thinking. If you are, that's great. If not, just pay attention to that, guys. Just when you go out, just look at everything and see the positive and the negative to it, because every negative there's also a positive. And when you do this, you'll start to lose some of that anxiety you have about worrying about the future. You'll start to see things from a holistic point of view, and your mental health will become a lot better, and you'll start to feel more powerful in controlling your own reality. So yeah, what do you think, guys? That's it for this video. Please leave your comments about that. Thanks for subscribing to my new channel, Lee Fox. If you haven't already, please do it. I'll leave a link in the description. And yeah, see you guys in the next video very shortly. Have a nice day.